Hey everyone, Melanie Minshinger here, illustrator for Gina K Designs. Today I'm sharing a project with one of my latest sets from Gina K Designs, Message in a Bottle, and I'm going to show you how easy it is to create this beautiful beach scene with this set and with my previously released Window on the Water set. So it's going to come together very quickly. We've got a little sale going on as of today, 15% off, so it might be back to school, but I am not ready to leave the beach behind. I've got a cruise coming up and I could just enjoy the beach any time of year, and I always just kind of go there in my mind when I craft beach scenes. So in addition to those two stamp sets, I have got some of the Gina K cardstock here. So I'm going to be using some of the Wild Wisteria. This is 4 1/4 by 11 inches, scored with my Scor-Buddy at 5 1/2 inches. I've also got the MISTI for doing my stamping. I've got some blending brushes here. So I'm going to use 3 different ones for my colored inks. The inks that I'm using today, I'm using the Jet Black for all the outline images. And then to do my blending, I'm going to be using some of the Sandy Beach, the matching Wild Wisteria ink, and then some of the Tangerine Twist. I'm going to be using just a couple markers on this. There's very little coloring, but just so we can do some shadows and add color to the cork and the water. I've got just 2 kind of like tan colors here. So these are my Spectrum Noir alcohol markers. I've got the TN2 and the TN3 for coloring that cork. And then I have got the CR1, which is a nice peach for the reflection on the water to go with that sun. And then a GG3, which I'm also going to use on the water, and then to give just a little bit of shading to this scroll inside the bottle. You're also going to need just a little scrap of paper to cut out the die cut. So we still have some of the bundles in stock for Message in a Bottle, so going to be using this die to just cut out. So you're going to have lots of different scraps, I know, from cutting all of those white mats for that scroll. You're also going to be using some white and some black Onyx paper. And then let's see, don't need any dies for this one. I already did the pre-cutting, as you can see, so I've got the Gina K Intricut here, and then I just am loving the adapter plates with the magnets so that you can see where you're doing your die cuts. And then I think, let's see, then we're going to need some adhesive to put these layers together. And I think that's everything. You could also use some stencils if you want, if you really like a stenciled look, and that would just make a more stylized scene there. But I'm just going to show you how you can do this without. So here's the card that we're going for. Let's go ahead and get started by stamping out our scene. So I'm going to take this little beach horizon here from my Window on the Water set. And you could add some of these other images too. That would be really fun to, you know, put in some of the little palm trees, or maybe some things in the background in the sand to kind of create a middle ground, a foreground, and then a background. So what I'm going to do here is I am just going to stamp the scene across. So that's the first thing I'm going to do. I'm going to do it about just a little above the halfway mark on there. And so close that. And where are my other magnets? I think we'll be able to make this work, but I have my other magnets and my larger MISTI. Okay. All right. So ink this up with the Jet Black. So we're going to go across, and just the thing that you want to do with this is just to make sure that that horizon line is parallel with the top or the bottom of your mat, so that you don't have the horizon going crooked. And it's very easy to see because you've got these nice grid lines here on your cardstock. So I'm going to stamp that again, and then I'll move it over. And if you don't have a MISTI, you could also use just an acrylic block for this. Okay, so now I'm going to just carefully take this and just lay it right next to it and just have that line going. across there. And I just love how you can create the illusion of glass by doing all of your blending through that bottle and then putting that die cut paper in front of it. Then you don't have to do any masking there. Oh, and I think I might have forgotten to say, I also have just a little scrap piece of paper here to do our masking of the sun and then to mask the bottom of that bottle. So this is just a piece of paper from a pad that I always test up my markers on when I'm trying to find my colors, as well as figure out my sponging. Okay, let's do that just one more time because I feel like it's just a little bit darker on this side than on the other. So just one more time there. Okay. All right, now what I want to do is I am going to take this off for a moment and I'm going to do my blending here. So I'm going to mask this off so that I can do my sky. So I'm going to start with the orange down here, this Tangerine Twist. I'm just going to do a very light touch at first. So just real soft in there. Okay, and so you can pull it away. Now we're going to go in and I'm going to go a little bit deeper. It's going to be, if you go look at a sunset or a sunrise, it's going to be much darker there, just right at the horizon, and then it fades out into that top color. Oh, and then I popped up there a little bit. So we go back in, get that covered up. Okay, now I have just a little hole punched here and I'm going to put this on, and I'm just having this a little bit offset so that it's kind of peeking through those cattails there. So I'm just going to hold this down and I'm just going to go around it very gently. Okay, pull that away. And now let's do the top here with our wild Wisteria. And remember, you want to leave some light and some dark areas. You could put the scratch paper underneath if you want to cover your work surface. I think I need a little bit of a re-ink on this pad. So I want to have kind of some white areas and then some darker areas. Okay, now let's go ahead and blend in the bottom here so that we've got some sand. All right, so I'm just going to swirl this around on my sandy beach pad. So just back and forth out into these dunes. And don't worry about getting a perfectly smooth blend because obviously you're going to have texture in the sand, little footprints in the sand, and places where it's been blown around or scratched from the shorebirds and things like that. Okay, all right, I love that. All right, now I'm going to put in just a little bit of color with those two markers that I mentioned. So I want to take my bullet tip here, and I'm just going to do just some streaks here of peach for where it's reflecting that sun, and then just a few little strips just kissing kind of that water, okay, with the gray. That's it. That's all you have to do. Now what I want to do is I'm going to go back in with my MISTI, and we're going to add the sand where the bottle is resting and the bottle. So I'm going to stamp the sand, because whenever you're masking something like this, so that it looks like the bottle is sticking up out of the sand, you want to do whatever is going to be in the front first, okay? And you can lay out your bottle to just kind of give you an idea of how high up you want it. And I like it at just kind of a little angle rather than straight up and down. I want to kind of have the reveal there of my sun. So right about there is good. Okay, so right about there. So close that, ink this up. Okay, and if you want this to look more subtle, you could do it with a brown or with the sandy beach. But I'm just keeping all of my line art black here, kind of storybook. Now what I'm going to do, remember I said that I used that blade die, and I went in and I cut. So here's the blade die. What this does, it doesn't cut out a shape, but it cuts out the top of the slit of that sand. So I already cut this out to create a mask, and if you, I'm going to put it up here actually. So I'm going to put that right there. And I'm going to put this just right on top of that, and just stick my bottle just in, just like that. Okay, and then think about where that's going to go. Okay, so this is cutting out just the top of, just want to line up that scratch paper. Remove this. There's my bottle. Okay, so I'm going to ink up the bottle, close, press all over, or use your Chucky tool to rub. Okay, and that actually, that looks good just like it is. I don't think I need to do that one again. Now I'm going to remove this, and I'm going to add just a little bit of color to the cork with my TN2 and TN3. So these are just some kind of tan colors. So I'm just going just right over that. Kind of put that in there because you will see the cork a little bit through that glass rim. And then I'm going to take the darker one. I'm just going to go under here. Okay, that's not as dark as actually as I want. Let me go a little bit darker. I'm going to grab a different marker here. I'm not sure which ones I ended up using. Okay, so this one, this is GB10, but again, any tans or browns will do. You can also do a tip-to-tip coloring if you want to pick up some of that lighter color to kind of have a smoother blend if your darker brown is a little bit darker than you want it to be. Okay. And then I'm going to go and I'm going to take that same grayish marker that I used for the water, and I am going to stamp out the little scroll. And let me see if I have, I like to stamp into that cut piece. So let me make sure, let me see if I have that. Here we go. All right. So this is going to allow me to get it perfectly lined up. Upside down. There we go. So if you save your negative pieces that you cut out, then you will be able to position that perfectly within the MISTI. So just lay that right on there. Oh, got my hair in there. And I didn't cut out any extra pieces, but you might want to add a little shell or a piece of sea glass in there, that little heart, and that would be super sweet too. All right, so I am going to do my scroll, press all over. Okay, and then what I want to do, the only coloring that you need to do on these is just to take the gray marker and go in, and I'm just doing just a little stripe along the edge of where it curls over and on the inside. Okay, then I've got celebrating you, happy birthday, thinking of you with deepest sympathy, congratulations. So let's do celebrating you on this one. All these long messages will fit onto the scroll. So that right here. Still a little sticky. There we go. Remove the scroll. Put that right back in. My black ink. Okay. There we go. All right, so now let's go ahead and add this. And I didn't use any foam squares because I want it to look like it's inside the bottle, not on top of the bottle. Okay, so I don't want to have that, I don't really want to have it sticking out. I'm also going, what I'm going to do is I want to make it look like this is just barely sticking out as well. So I am going to take, and I pulled it out. Where did it go? Didn't put it back on the thing. My little edge of my, here we go, stuck to my marker. So I'm going to take this sand, and I am just going to stamp this just right across the edge, and then I'm just going to cut it. And you could just trim it, but this is going to show me exactly where to trim. Okay, so just that little bit. So I'm going to take my scissors and cut this off, and then it's just going to go right in there in the bottle. Okay, and I want to position this to make it look like it's kind of just leaning right up inside the edge of that bottle. So I'm going to take this glue and get it started here. Poke this in real quick. This happened the other day. All right, here we go. There we go. All right, so just put this right in here. Oh, and my birds. So I like to put, I have birds in both of these sets, but I like to put some of those on so that it just really creates that sense of birds flying in the background. So you can do these with your block or your MISTI. So just put this in here. And depending on which birds you choose, the size, it's going to look like they're farther away or closer. This one keeps sticking to me. Just going to use these two. Kind of like that there's two little birds. Kind of think about like how it's going to represent the person that you're giving it to. You know, whether it's like a little couple, two birds flying together. Okay. If you want to do an extra one, so you have something in threes, that's a nice way to create a design. Okay, so then what we're going to do, the last thing to do is just to put your mats together and we're done. So, and this is the layering weight cardstock, so you can see that my alcohol marker came through there. So if you're doing a single layer card rather than these mats, make sure if you're using alcohol markers that you use the heavy base weight cardstock. And I chose to offset my mats on this one. I just think it's nice to change it up and also just to use all of your papers. So you don't have to have them squared up all the time. If you have a piece that's a little bit smaller, you can still use those up, and just creates a little bit of interest, I think. And that's it. Very easy to do. I hope you enjoyed this card. I hope you have lots of ideas for how you can do use these two sets together, and I am going to be sharing more ideas with messages in a bottle soon. I will post that coupon code. I hope you're able to take advantage of that before the sale ends, but if not, still great value in this set. Love you guys. Thank you so much for watching today. Have a great back to school year for everyone. Thank you so much for watching. God bless.